It's a dreary Monday morning in Ohio, but that's all right. After this, I'll get out and walk. I need to do that. Hi, Penny. Nice to have you. So I had some sad news this morning, and this is that time of year where I think for many of us, the blues creep in, and the sundowners and all that, and dealing with some anxiety and depression. But, I just keep working at it and get up each day and do the best I can do to live. This morning I woke up to some sad news. A cousin of mine died unexpectedly last night. So we're just kind of waiting to hear what happened to Jeff. And I heard he was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia just before Christmas. I don't know if that's it, but and I didn't know him as well as an adult, but have fond memories of him, the various reunions and parties and all that. And my mom came from a very large, my mom was from a very large farming family. And so there are, in that generation, I think there's, 51, 55 of us cousins. But we were a close family, despite how large our family is. And Jeff is younger than me, so that's a little bit hard too when you have people in your own age group, peer group, family members dying so young. And of course my dad dies back a lot of those memories too, and I really trying to keep his family in my thoughts and prayers. So anyways, but it's a new day, and Jeff was a person of great faith, and I'm sure he's in a much better place than all of us. And life does need to go on. So we will have this Facebook Live, and we will all do good things today. So on Friday, I did a project with you featuring the Love You Always suite. So I'll just point that out quickly again, that is on pages 10 through 13. It's a large suite of products. There's 3 different designer series papers and foils, 2 bundles, embellishments. So there's a whole lot in there, but and a lot of times people look at this and think Valentine's Day, which it's wonderful for Valentine's Day. But Valentine's Day is one of 365 out of the year. So I love that this suite is just so very, very, very versatile. And this is the first time this sample caught my eye. I don't think I really ever zeroed in on that. Isn't that funny? You can look through a catalog so many times and see something new each time. But anyways, this is very versatile. I love it for anniversaries, weddings, engagements, bridal showers, and simply just to tell people that you love and care about them, that they are thought. I think it's really versatile, and I hope you will take a close look at it. And remember that if you purchase between upwards of $50 in product, you can also take advantage of getting a free product from our celebration brochure. Today I'm pretty much focusing on the same products I used last week, but I will just point this out because somebody just brought this up recently to me that they just saw this. This is from a Facebook Live I did a few weeks ago, and you can find the information on these products. It was one Facebook Live. I did the Valentine treat box and card as the top calendar using the Love You Always foil sheets and the Love You Always specialty designer series paper, along with those fabulous bundles. So look for that at www.stampinpiece.com. Friday, I did one of those, pulled a project from the archives. This was it. and decided to remake this with current products. I think this is probably 2 to 3 years old, but I decided to recreate it with products from the Love You Always suite. So this is the second one I made. Dottie Barker was the winner I made during the live, and then I made a second one. I have blush is sort of like the accent color up in my living room. It's like gray with blush pink. So I made this for myself to put on my mantle. Yes, Katie, good question. It does fit into an envelope. It is rather thick because of all the layers and the dimensionals, so it will cost you a little bit extra in postage, but let me show you. Mailing envelope. Just like that, okay? So you can see it fits. It is thick though, so it will cost a little bit extra in postage, but let me tell you, it is worth that extra bit in postage because this will certainly bring lots of joy to somebody when you send it to them, and then hopefully give them many years of enjoyment getting it out and using it as a decoration. And of course you can write a message on the back if you're sending it or giving it to somebody. So in addition to this project, I also made this a few years ago to coordinate. So I decided it's best to recreate this. I've done many collages over the years. This collage was probably one of my first, and it's quite a simple one with very few layers, but I basically took the measurements and the layout from this, and we are going to make something wonderful. So I'm starting with a piece of 12 by 12 Blushing Bride cardstock. This is in the Subtles collection, the Subtles Assorted collection. Then I have cut, and I wasn't going to back this, but maybe I will. I'm not sure about that. This is 2 and 7. I may change that. But then I have cut 4 pieces of the Blushing Bride foil. It's in that Love You Always foil sheet pack. These are 3 by 6, okay? These 4 are 3 by 6 inches. Then I cut these strips. I'm using lots of scraps. These strips, and I'm going to do that. Oh, you're getting funny reflections, aren't you? I noticed too that the Facebook keeps in and out, in and out. I don't know if there's construction going on in my neighborhood again or what, but it's between the reflections and that, it's a little bit tricky this morning, but we will get through it. But my strips are 5 3/4 by 1/2 inch. Okay, 2 strips, 5 3/4 by 1/2 inch. Then I cut pieces of the Specialty Designer Series paper that are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I'm starting with very, just very basic measurements. But as I'm looking at this, I can see that I'm not quite happy with that. So I will change that. And for that center one, I still want the main piece 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. And I know it's an odd measurement when the rest are 3 by 6, but it's because of how it all is laid out in the end and the spacing between. So I'm going to do this instead, but I am going to need, I will need to cut this down a little bit. And this is going to end up being 2 5/8 by 2 5/8 to keep, actually I'm going to make this one 2 3/4. The centerpiece will have different margins of foil on it, but that's okay. I know it can be difficult looking at the different pieces and reflections and everything happening with the foil, but we will do our best to ignore that, because in the end, The project is so worth it. You are going to love it. Now, before I start assembling this, I want to show you a trick. Friday, I used lots and lots. I'm trying to watch the Facebook interruptions here. So if I pause, that's why I'm seeing that little message pop up. But I used lots and lots of different dies from the 2 bundles in the suite. And I have lots of things pre-cut here, including the Love Always words in a project. You can mount these. You can mount these on, have them on a background. And I want to do that, but I want to show you a tip here. Trick. Most of this foil is going to be hidden by my designer series paper. So I'm going to cut the backgrounds for those 2 words, the Love Always words, out of this. And when you do this, you just want to be sure that wherever you're placing the dies, they will not space that you want to show. So in other words, if I place this designer series paper on top, you can see that all the dies are hidden, and that's what I want. I don't want them cutting into the margins of my piece for the finished project. So now I have this and this, and remember, don't throw this away. This is one of those, it's one of those rectangles that we need for our finished collage. Thank you all for being here. I love seeing all your names pop up. So, putting our rectangles and squares together and then adding all the decorative pieces and parts. So this is a great saver of your paper. You know that foil costs more than typical cardstock, so it's a great way to get more bang for your buck, we'll say. And I'm going to say, I'm just kind of creating as I go along here. I was up early and ready to come down here and sample up, and then I would recreate a second one during the live. But with my news this morning, I needed a little time to gather myself. So I may be making some changes, but that's okay. I know you like to see the creative process also. So again, this is a 1/2 inch by 5 3/4 strip, and I'm just laying it on here, adhering this so that I have even margins at the top, bottom, and side. And these are just scraps. Sometimes I don't really have, I may not know exactly what the plan is. I just have an overall layout. But then I can look at my scraps and think, oh, how can I use those? And I think that's just a nice, fun way to accent something you're working on. Square is going to be the center of my collage. And I'm going to make this heart the focal point of that center. So I'm just going to add some, I think I'm going to add this with glue dots. You can certainly use dimensionals as well. Remember, if this is something you want to frame, that consider the type of frame you're using. Is it something that needs to set pretty flat in the frame, or is it a frame more of like a shadow box frame that allows for some thickness of your project that you're framing? For me, this one's going to be fairly flat. Okay. I do it this way so that I have it adhering to that center square, but not necessarily to the whole project yet. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any adhesive that would attach to the Blushing Bride cardstock just yet. And so I have that. Next, I will add the Love Always words. I'm here for 7 hours on Saturday. I just started doing a big overhaul and clean out and purge. Not quite done with that part of it, but I also rearranged my furniture a little bit and tried to make better use of the space. So boy, was I worn out. I need to get back in shape, build up some muscle again, because I was so exhausted and hurting. My body would just not rest on Saturday night. But I love the way my room turned out. So hopefully in the next couple days I'll get the last bit of it finished and then do a craft room tour. I haven't done that for a while. Remember, with the multi-purpose glue, just tiny dots is all you need. A little goes a very long way. An alternate, good alternate adhesive for this would be using the adhesive sheets. Just, oh, I do have furniture sliders, but it was still heavy, Marion. It still was heavy. I should have asked Andrea and John or something, but I was determined I was getting it done Saturday, and I knew they had plans, and my brother-in-law was out of town, so it's all good. It's all good. Oh, as I was saying, an alternate adhesive would be to use the adhesive sheets, lay some Blushing Bride cards on the adhesive sheets, and then do your die cutting. Once it comes out of the die cutting machine, then all you have to do is peel off the backing from the adhesive, and it works great. Be aware though, once you stick that down, using this multi-purpose glue is a little bit forgiving. If you need to slide something in place, you can do that. Whereas you really can't with the adhesive sheets for these small, intricate things. So just something to be aware of. I'm starting to wonder if I should have put it. No, I'm going to do it this way. And I will just a few dimensionals. Good morning, Patty. Thanks for joining in. This is gorgeous DSP, isn't it? And I love DSP. So many of my projects start with designer series papers. A lot of people are the opposite. They use their stamp sets and bundles to start their creating. And for me, it usually, a lot of times, very often, my inspiration starts with designer series papers, and then I build off that. Oh, I like that. I like how that turned out. I love the heart. What else do I have here? I've got the heart from the center of this. Remember that one die cuts out both pieces, the solid heart as well as the floral frame heart. That sounds serious, but if we need a 12-step program, I'll go with you, Patty. Hi, Connie. Nice to have you. Yes, definitely go back and watch from the beginning. You'll get some good tips in there. Okay. Remember last week I showed you that some of those dies cut out other things, other smaller pieces that we can use for embellishments, like those little hearts. We used this heart border die on last week's project, so it cuts out even smaller, teeny tiny hearts. And there's also the flower die. Looks just like that. So I'll be using some of these pieces as well. These are left over from that. Okay, I had maybe ½ inch, maybe 3/4 inch strip of foil, and I cut the heart border, and this is that top piece. So all it has is this little scallop edge. And I thought, oh, that's still kind of fun and pretty. Maybe I can do something with that. So I did not get rid of it. Use it on this. I'm kind of thinking I would just do something like this. Put that little edge on there. Maybe I need one on the other side too. Where's my little trimmer? So I'm going to cut these, just the width. Ooh, I don't know what all's on there. The width of that Specialty Designer Series paper, and that is 2 3/4. I'll do the same with that other little scrap, cutting it at 2 3/4 as well, because I just might use both of them. Okay, I think that would be pretty to have one on each end. I might need to scoot that heart over a little bit. Let's see. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Oh, Susan, thank you so much. It is looking, that's funny that you say that, because as I'm doing this and it's so quiet in my house, I'm thinking, gosh, this is really pretty. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but maybe I didn't know exactly what I had in mind. That happened. I felt like my mind wasn't really clear, and I almost thought I'll do my Facebook Live later in the day, but I'm so glad I did it now. But yes, I was thinking the same thing. It's beautiful and it's not even done. I am going to move this heart over. I think it's just too close to that trim I added. The dimensionals they pull up really nicely on this paper. So if you need to make an adjustment like this, it's easy to do that. There you go. And I think I will add a little heart with a glue dot. I don't want it really thick, so I'm not going to use a mini dimensional, but I am going to just put 3 glue dots behind it. If you do that, use 3 glue dots, it still picks up off, actually maybe I want it over here, off the piece you're adhering it to. So you see some dimension, but it's just not as obvious as if you're using a dimensional. Now, gosh, I'm not sure what I want to put on these other two. In some ways, I kind of like it just plain. I do have 2 hearts that I cut out just using the inside of this heart frame. I think maybe over here like this. I kind of like that. What do you think? I'm looking at this, wondering if one of those hearts should be plain Blushing Bride. So let's try that. Bring my Stampin', whoops. I'm gonna bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back in here. And cut one of these out. I want just the heart, so it's okay to use a scrap like I'm doing here. I don't need a large piece of cardstock, just enough for me to cut out that. Is this frozen? Oops. Okay, I didn't have something correct in there. Did it cut out? Let's try that again. I obviously didn't have everything lined up correctly. There we go. That feels better. I'm wondering if the screen is frozen. I'm not getting a message saying that the Facebook Live has been interrupted, but I feel like as though the screen is stuck. Let me see what's happening up here. It's not frozen. Okay, maybe it's just my screen. Good to know. I'm glad, because I'm looking at my phone and it says I'm live and things are moving along, but yet my screen on my computer is frozen. Back from when before I had put the words together. All right, good. I'm just going to keep on going and glance up at my phone at top occasionally. So what do you think of the hearts? I'm struggling, I'm not sure what to think. Yeah, it's been going in and out, but overall it just is like a brief second or so. The other thing you can do is add some photos too of some of your favorite loved ones. Yes, the hearts. Is it too many hearts? I'm going for it. I thought I would like this better with a plain one over here, but I don't. I kind of like that plain one on its own. So I'm going to add dimensionals. You like the 2 printed hearts. Okay, thank you. That's what I was leaning towards, but you know me. I like to give myself options, I guess. Typically when I do collages, I basically put together all the different sections, all the different pieces and parts before I adhere the sections to the background cardstock. a little bit easier for me to work with individual smaller sections. And then once I have everything in place, to lay out the different sections and measure all the way around, that sort of thing. Patty, your message cracks me up. It wasn't frozen. My screen wasn't. Your screen's not frozen, but you are freezing in Wyoming with all that snow. Quite honestly, I wish we had a pretty snowfall in Ohio. To me, the snow makes a gray day better. Brightness of the snow. I'm just a snow girl. I do enjoy the snow. Of course, that makes it a little bit easier when you don't have to go anywhere, right? But I am going to get out today. I've been inside a little too much, not seeing enough of people. Okay, so I kind of feel good about this. What are you all thinking? Oh, you know what? Who was it the other day? Vicki Parker, was it you? The other day I finished the banner and you said, oh, it's beautiful, but it needs a bow. I think you were the one. So let's add a bow. And I know just where I want to put it. Of course, you can pull in other embellishments as well. Pearls would look gorgeous on here. What do we call them? The opal embellishments that are part of the Sand and Sea. That are part of the Sand and Sea suite. Those would be pretty on here. Our pearls. We have the little silver heart embellishments that are part of this Love You Always suite. It's almost like a little heart charm. Leah is suggesting add little hearts to the Blushing Bride heart. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, let me do this bow. Can I just say, I've received a lot of gifts from Stampin' Up! Over the years, but this is absolutely one of my favorite and one of the most practical gifts I've ever received. I've received totes and purses and wonderful. I've had a wonderful experience with Stampin' Up! And feel so valued and appreciated. But there is something about this gift. I use it every day, and every day it reminds me that I am appreciated. And it's just so practical. And this pair of scissors never leaves my craft space, because you know what happens when you take away your tools. So it's nice to have an extra, because this always is here. It never leaves my craft table. And even in a big mess or pile of products and scraps, I can always find it. It's funny how those little things just kind of speak to us at times. Okay, and Leah of adding, I'm thinking, should I do maybe 3 little hearts? Let's see here. Kind of leaning towards just 1 heart. The other option is a flower. Could put a flower or 3. Do I have 3? I don't even have 3. Yes, I do. Or do something like that. Leah, you tell me. I'll let you decide. A row of tiny hearts in the Blushing Bride. I also have these teeny tiny little hearts. I take your pick tool. Maybe that's it, Sharon. Maybe we need those ones. Let's see if I can pick some up with this. Oh, this might be it. This might be just what we need. How about something like that? No on the flowers? Okay, flowers are a no. I'll save those for another project. Marion says it's got to be a heart. Are definitely in agreement. I kind of like these 3 little hearts. So let's go with that. The way I'm going to do this, and hopefully this will work nicely, is just put 3 tiny dots of multi-purpose glue. On the hearts. And then, oops, that wasn't even the right lid for that. Two, 3. Oh, I love that. Okay, love how that turned out. I guess it could have been in over just a little bit more. Okay. Because it is reminding me of all the love I had coming from my dad's family and my mom's family as we grew up. And it's nice to know that as adults, that love is always there. And there's going to be lots of the Schulte family too. I know have greeted Jeff coming into heaven last night. So it feels good. Okay, let me show you how I add the final pieces. Basically, and I'm kind of cheating this morning because I had this layout to go on, and I know that I used a 1/2 inch border all the way around this, and I cut. So it's helpful to know I did a creative escape weekend 2 weekends ago. And one of the projects was a collage, and I actually wrote out the dimensions for that layout as well. Maybe it wasn't it. Now I'm like questioning myself. Was it 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches? It was neither. It was 1 3/8 inches. As I was doing this, I thought this is not quite right, and I think the 1/8 border was the very same for the boho indigo collage we did at the weekend event. So, and you can pretty much see, come down, I'm over 1 3/8, come down 1 3/8. I hope I'm in the screen because mine is still computer screen. Yeah, I am. Okay. My computer screen is still frozen, so I'm not seeing what you're seeing at all. Okay, so over 1 3/8 and down 1 3/8. Now, what I like to do is start out by, I'm just trying to look over the top of this, ignore the top of my head, and see if I'm straight across there. What I like to do is hold the pieces in place, put a little bit of adhesive and just place it down enough to hold it in place. But with using just a little bit of adhesive, you are allowing yourself the opportunity to pick it up and move it, adjust it if you need to. And I'm doing the same thing here along the bottom. Came in at 1 3/8 and up at 1 3/8. And again, I'm going to just use a little adhesive in the center of that section. I can then line this up. So 1 3/8, a wee bit high there. So I can pull this up gently. And just slide it down a wee bit. Still keeping it lined up with that first piece I have in place. And now I can line this one up at 1 3/8. Okay. By the way, people have asked me, I don't know what this measuring tool is called, and asked many, many times, where have I gotten it from? This came from the quilting section, or sewing section, quilting section at Joann's. And I do believe they have them also in the quilting sewing section at Hobby Lobby. I don't know that Michaels carries a tool like this. And I just go around like this. And remember, I'm using just minimal adhesive at first. Do that one last. And this is easy because I can just line it up with that first one. I will even double check it here. It needs to come down a wee bit. This one needs to come down a wee bit. But you know, if you don't have a previous collage to case and copy measurements from, you basically are just going to measure each of your sections. So 3 inches plus 6 inches, and then I want to account for some space in the middle, and then subtract that from the 12 inches across. That one needed to come down just a little bit here. I say just use minimal adhesive at first when you're putting your sections down. I'm going to go back and make sure this one is still even here. And this is probably the most time-consuming part of your project, but it's a very important step, because having everything straight gives a nicer, finished, completed look. And if you're going to take the time to do something handmade, take the time to pay attention to those details. And that all then. I do use a little more adhesive when I'm going back and going underneath that foil. I think you need the extra adhesive to keep the foil down than maybe if it were just ordinary designer series paper or even cardstock. I probably wouldn't be using this much adhesive, but with the foil I do. Okay, and this last one I want to pop up on dimensionals. A pretty decoration at a bridal shower or even a wedding as well. And with these 4 pieces in place, it's going to be very easy for me to center this one. I don't even have to measure because I can line it up with the... Oh, what do you think? Okay, while we're talking about details, and I think I mentioned this on Friday, that I said, you know, it's almost impossible when you're working with foil to not get fingerprints on there. It's just unavoidable. Of course, when you're doing paper crafting of any kind, you don't want to have lotion and stuff on your hand while you're working. Do that at night. That's probably why my nails and my hands look as awful as they do, because I probably am not using lotion as much as I should, but with paper crafting, I'm just really very careful about when I use the lotion in designing on projects. But take a very soft cloth. This is one of my bathroom washcloths from my my bathroom in the finished basement here. It's just a Target brand, and I'm telling you, it's one of the softest towels or set of towels and washcloths I've ever owned. It also has this fun loop so I can hang it up. But yeah, made by design. Take a very soft cloth, even if you've got a microfiber cloth, that works great too. And just go around and kind of in a circular motion, you can oops, I don't know what I got there. It's like glue of something. I'll just see if I can get that off with something else. And just go around, and wherever you see some, I don't know what I got there. Unless it was, that's bad, but I'll see if I can fix that. But yeah, a soft cloth works great just to get those fingerprints off. So what do you think? Marion says she loves it. Okay, I am going to definitely put this upstairs in my living room as one of my Valentine decorations. As I told you, I already have been displaying the Love Always banner on my mantle. So I'm not sure where I'll put this. I have a little, what am I gonna say, like a vignette area using a sofa table against a half wall I have in my foyer. I think maybe I can put it in a frame or on an easel there. I love it. That's all I have for you this morning. I hope you've loved the making the collage with me this morning, and I hope you also love the banner I made on Friday. The banner, along with the Facebook Live replay, is posted to stampinpeace.com today on my blog, and I will be sharing it on my Facebook group and Facebook page later today. But right now it's on my blog, www.stampinpeace.com, and I will be adding this one. All right, so I'm glad you love both. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Marion. I wish you all a wonderful day, full of love and many blessings. Thanks for joining me this morning, and thanks for being part of the goodness in my day. See you soon.